Counter-Strike 2 has been confirmed and it is on its way, and it's immediately become one of the most anticipated games of 2023, even though it's just on PC. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is one of the biggest games of all time. It's an iconic game over on Steam, and it's been over a decade since that game launched. And Valve have said that Counter-Strike 2 is the most technical leap forward in Counter-Strike's history. They're going to be introducing features such as reduced input lag, a focus on overhauled visual effects and lighting, and changes to the most iconic CSGO maps. Now, this obviously hasn't really come as a surprise to players. Counter-Strike 2 has actually been rumoured for a couple weeks now. There's been loads of rumours going around that it is on its way, and Valve have finally confirmed that this is going to happen. Players first discovered this on Nvidia's driver files, which indicated a Source 2 powered sequel was on the way. Then, just a couple of weeks later, a trademark application made the rumours of an imminent Counter-Strike 2 beta seem almost certain. And well, now we do know of course that it is real, as Valve have confirmed everything, and they've confirmed features as well, along with release dates. So in this video, we're going to go through everything we know so far about the Counter-Strike 2 release and what you can expect. So on the 22nd of March, it was revealed that Counter-Strike 2 was real, and Valve actually confirmed a release window, which is the summer of 2023. Counter-Strike 2 is set to actually just replace Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which launched all the way back in 2012 and remains one of the most consistently popular games on Valve's Steam platform. Of course, one of the big reasons for that is its massive recognition within the esports industry, being one of the biggest esports games, if not the biggest esports game of all time. That alone has really helped CSGO stay alive within the industry, and it's not just stayed alive, it's stayed as one of the most popular games of all time throughout these 10 years. And Counter-Strike 2 is just set to be a clean replacement to that, just completely wiping out CSGO and just making it the new CSGO basically, just the same thing but obviously just improved upon. So in the summer of 2023 is when we can expect it to release. Now interestingly, when CSGO first released, there was actually a scaled down limited version on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, so it's also possible that there could be a version on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Maybe not quite as good as the PC version, but it's pretty interesting that that is a possibility. Of course, we got it with PS3 and Xbox 360, but since we got nothing on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, then don't expect that. It's just always a possibility since they've done something like it before. So yeah, the Counter-Strike release on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X isn't impossible, but of course it is very unlikely at the same time. A couple years ago, Counter-Strike Global Offensive went free to play. This meant that you could literally just download the game for free, and it was all free to play. The only thing you had to pay for really was to play competitive, since you have to purchase the Prime, which basically allows you to play proper competitive and get a rank, which is the only thing you have to pay for really within Counter-Strike. And Counter-Strike 2 is going to be a free to play game. The game will launch as a free upgrade to CSGO, which means that you still have time to build your loadout and get your head around the action before the new game launches this summer. So even though CSGO did launch as a premium game that you had to pay for, it did change to a free-to-play model, and Valve are going to stick with that with Counter-Strike 2. So, as I mentioned, Counter-Strike 2 is launching in the summer of this year, but that's not actually when it first arrives. Valve have actually confirmed that there is going to be a Counter-Strike 2 beta, and well, that is out now, so there's always a possibility that you could get into the beta, but getting into it really isn't going to be easy. On the Counter-Strike website, Valve explained how you can get access to this limited test, and it says this: players are selected based on a number of factors deemed important by the Counter-Strike 2 development team, including but not limited to recent playtime on Valve official servers, trust factor, and Steam account standing. So from the way Valve have worded that, it looks like to be able to gain access to this Counter-Strike 2 limited test, you're either going to have to be a very well-known figure within the CSGO community, or you're going to have to be a very trusted player with lots of playtime on the game. But even if you have lots of playtime but haven't put in as many hours recently, then it's certainly not going to matter as much, since you need recent playtime on the game. Let's say you put in a good 100 hours recently, then there's a good chance you could get access to this limited test, providing that you are trusted and that you have a good Steam account standing. So if you have been selected, then there is a way of knowing that. If you are chosen to participate in the Counter-Strike 2 limited test, you will receive a notification on the main menu of CSGO. If you do receive an invitation, you need to select enroll and begin your downloads. When the download is complete, launch CSGO and select the limited test option, and you'll be able to play the Counter-Strike 2 limited test. That's how you'll get it if you have actually been accepted into it. But yeah, getting into this, especially at the moment, isn't going to be easy. It's possible later down the line before its actual release, they'll make it easier where more people can gain access to this limited test, but as of right now, it's very difficult to be able to gain access to it. Now, it does look like there will be more players in the future on the limited test, since Valve says that it will continue to add players to the limited test as it stress tests the servers to make sure that they are applicable for the main release. But obviously, it does still seem like it might be quite unlikely to be able to get on it, but of course, you never know. One of the main reasons that CSGO has stayed alive alive for so long is due to its skins and its general economy, and it's good to hear that CSGO skins will carry over to Counter-Strike 2. Regardless of whether you've been playing for a decade or just 10 minutes, you've likely got a loadout of items that you'd like to keep hold of for Counter-Strike 2. And yeah, Valve has confirmed that you will be able to bring your entire CSGO inventory with you to Counter-Strike 2. So that means you'll not only be able to keep every item that you have collected, but they will all benefit from Source 2 lighting and materials to ensure they even look better than they did before. So that was some general info about Counter-Strike 2 and just how it's going to work. But now let's actually get into the actual upgrades coming with this new version. Now, as part of the upgraded package, the initial set of Counter-Strike 2 maps have been built to take advantage of the new Source 2 tools and rendering features. That means that you should expect to see a rebuild of some CSGO favourites and careful updates to others. For example, overpasses being fully overhauled to new leverage, new engine tools. Nuke will take advantage of new Source 2 lighting to produce realistic materials, lighting and reflections. A key touchstone map like Dust 2 will receive improvements to lighting and character read, but its foundations will remain otherwise untouched. That's quite good, to be honest. Maps that work really well, it's best to just leave them as they are since they work well and there's no real reason to change them. But others that work quite well but could do with a few improvements, that's of course where the Counter-Strike 2 Source 2 engine will come into play. So there are a couple maps that have been confirmed for Counter-Strike 2 upgrades, and these go as follows: Dust 2, Italy, Mirage, Nuke, Overpass and Train. Of course there will be loads of others that get Source 2 upgrades, but as of right now those are all the ones that have been confirmed and seen within the trailers. So of course there is going to be Counter-Strike 2 graphics and VFX upgrades. Counter-Strike 2 will be taking advantage of the new Source 2 engine, like we all know, which means that you can expect to see Counter-Strike like you've never seen it before. And Valve has completely overhauled the visual effects with Source 2 lighting and particle systems, and a particular focus has been placed on making bullets' impacts more readable at a distance. Environmental effects have been improved too, as Valve attempts to create greater visual fidelity and consistency with elements like explosions and fire. In addition to that, the Counter-Strike 2 UI has been completely redesigned to better communicate information. For example, the matchmaking UI has slightly changed. Everything like that will just look slightly different to make it a more cleaner experience. And like we did mention a bit earlier, all of the Counter-Strike 2 weapons will be given new high resolution models. So now we're on to one of the big changes with Counter-Strike 2, and that is the changes to smoke grenades. One of the most impactful changes being brought to Counter-Strike 2 is the smoke grenades, and they are now volumetric objects which will react to lighting, gunfire and explosions. This means the smoke will move naturally around environmental objects. For example, the smoke may seep through windows or just open cracks within walls, as they will interact differently with other grenades and other smoke grenades as well. They're generally just going to be more realistic with a much more natural spread. Now in terms of the actual core gameplay and mechanics, that's generally going to stay the same. With CSGO being massive within the esports industry, changing too much with Counter-Strike 2 could of course affect that. Hopefully it will make things better, but of course there's always the possibility that it'll make things worse with mechanics being messed up and everything like that. So generally the core gameplay and mechanics will stay the exact same. There may be a few bug fixes and everything like that of course, but generally that's going to stay the same. But most of these effects of course esports players will have to look at, and they'll have to analyze it to be able to adapt their gameplay to it, as things are going to change a bit, particularly when it comes to those smoke grenades. Things will be changing there, which will change the play of the game quite a bit when it comes to obviously using those grenades within the game, especially since they interact well with the other grenades, making them pretty easy to counter and pretty hard to counter at times. So pretty interesting things there. And that does just about wrap up things here. That's everything we know so far about Counter-Strike 2. This will be releasing in the summer of 2023, and of course the beta is live now. Let me know down in the comments whether you got access to the limited test. Unfortunately I didn't, but of course I'm always hopeful that I'll get it in the future. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.